Welcome in, everybody, to a special episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown, and with me we have a special guest, a veteran sprint car 410 driver, Justin Henderson is with us today. Just finished off the World Finals in the 69K Kreitz Racing sprint car. So, Justin, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm just hanging out in the shop tonight. The wife and kid are about ready to go to sleep, actually. So we're getting ready to head out to Pennsylvania tomorrow. We're gonna head to Indy and stay with a friend, and then finish off the rest of the trip on Friday. So.
All right, sounds awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background in racing. A lot of people, especially in the East Coast, don't really know a whole lot about you and how you kind of went up into the racing rankings and 410 sprint cars specifically.
Well, I mean, that was a long, long time ago. I started racing around home here, and then we bumped up to 410 sprints in this area relatively quickly. And not long after that, we kind of sold everything, and I started driving for other people. So from then on, I've just kind of been a driver for hire, bopping around here and there, over the years, and had some pretty solid rides that, probably were more iconic from my past, and then some rides that, catapulted me forward, kind of sort of next step in the ladder, and like a driver career is.
Yeah. Well, tell me how the whole the hookup with Donnie and that whole race team happened. I know you helped fill in when Donnie got hurt a few years back, and now they brought you in here. So how did that all start off back then, and how they reach out to you, and then again at this time?
Well, a long time in 2015, I believe it was. I was racing the #1 car at Knoxville, and they had that show about Knoxville. I think it was called Dirt Dreams or something like that. And Donnie watched quite a bit of that because, I mean, I don't know, it was on some TV channel maybe. But and when Donnie realized he couldn't race there and he was looking for a replacement, they actually called me, which was crazy. Did not expect that at all, and said that they had been watching that, and they kind of saw how I drove, and they thought that it was going to be similar to how Donnie drove. So got in the car, then we came in for the National Open. We ran fourth, I believe, in that, and then we ran at Susky at the end of the year and came up to second in that race. So we were good right off the bat. And then Lance started driving the car.
Yeah, well, talk about that a little bit this year. Obviously, probably the most racing drama I've seen in dirt racing between obviously Lance and that whole situation that happened there, and the whole Macri situation that was going on. Just a little bit of everything was happening in dirt racing this year. How did that come about this season to get a couple races in for Donnie and all that?
Yeah, I was heading home from Knoxville one time or another. I don't remember what exact. It must have been after the Nationals, I guess. And we kind of heard the news, and so I gave a call to Donnie and kind of let him know that Knoxville would be over soon, and I'd be available to drive his car here at the end of the year if at all possible. So if there was anything that I could do for him, I'd love to get back in the seat. I felt like we got along great last time, and we could do good things, and so. It was a little while after he texted me and then called me and then texted me, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and then one thing led to another, and was getting close to racing out here, and we got teamed up for Susky and just got a couple laps in there, of course, and then we went to Charlotte here for the weekend.
Well, let's talk about Charlotte. How was that experience, and have you raced that dirt track specifically before?
I have raced Charlotte before. It's changed quite a bit since the last time I raced there. I would say that I don't know if the dirt's different or what it is for sure, but it's definitely changed. And that was a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what year it was, to tell you the God's honest truth. But and then to be able to go back there this year in the Kreitz 69K, it was just kind of like try to hurry up and get used to the racetrack and turn as quick a lap as possible when you come out for qualifying. Qualifying happens pretty quick there on Wednesday. It's like, one thing after it's a short hot lap session and you're into qualifying. So we really didn't get a whole lot of time together, but we did turn pretty good qualifying laps.
Yeah, and just and obviously I was there too. How cold it was, that throws a little bit of a monkey wrench in that whole situation. As quick as you want, as the Outlaws wanted to get everything going, that had to be another element that you guys had to battle through as well.
Yeah, it was definitely cold, and especially for the first two nights, it was really, really cold. and fighting some nerves and cold. It's hard to not shake and jitter a little bit. Other than that, I mean, the motors run really good when it's cold like that. The racetrack was probably kind of slicked off for the second one, so everybody was moving around the racetrack quite a bit. But it was an interesting qualifying session. The track definitely changed enough to make it even across the board.
Now, Charlotte was very unique to how they did everything this year. They had 4 straight nights of everything, sprint cars and all of that. Is that something as a driver you like to see, or is that just kind of you want to have that special for specifically Knoxville does the same thing, and well, similar thing, and that might be a little too much for the drivers and the crews in Charlotte.
It wasn't bad. I guess the only thing that I really didn't enjoy was not having any hot laps and going right into your heat race on your race night. But I mean, I don't know. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't too bad. I think if they did a deal where we qualified and raced on the same night, that would be better for us. But it's hard to put that many classes together, and they already have to rework the track several times. So I'm not really sure how you do it to make it work across the board.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed with the Outlaws, and like I was just kind of mentioning, they are on a tight schedule, especially with 3 series at that track. They want to make sure everything goes as quickly and as smoothly as possible, and kind of you don't see that at all the tracks, especially if it's not a sanctioned outlaw race. There's some time to usually to look at your car, look at your setup, kind of figure things out. But Outlaws, you don't get that much time that you're pretty much what you got. That's what you got for the race. And
yeah, it does end up being a really long night there. I mean, it's crazy how they start that early in the day and drag it out that long, and it ends up being, by the time you're done, you're like, oh man, let's get out of here. It's just you've been there all day and half the night. So,
well, there was big news this week that happened in the in dirt racing. Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet have announced about the High Limit Series. They've obviously purchased the All-Star Circuit Champions. It's going to be a 50 event season. Just as a driver's perspective and your thoughts on kind of how you think about them taking over that series and potentially the future of dirt racing, the way they're looking at it.
I think it's going to bring good things. I mean, it's good to have a little bit of competition in the dirt sanctioning bodies. I mean, it was the All-Stars. They're not necessarily, they're kind of taking over one that was already there, but at least we're going to have some good races that'll come from it. I mean, that's all that we can really hope for. And there's been that trend here recently anyway, more and more high paying races. So this just looks to continue that trend. And between Brad and Kyle, I'm sure that they'll do what's best for the racer, or at least keep that in mind as much as possible. And I know that it's really hard to keep everybody happy when you own a sanctioning body like that. I certainly wouldn't want to do that. I don't envy them at all, but I'm happy that they're there to do it. So to me, it can only bring good things.
Have you raced in any of the high limit races yet that they've had?
Yeah, I've raced in a few here and there. Houston's was the last one that I ran, and I think I ran 11th with high limit there.
What's the biggest difference you would say between the high limit and outlaws from a driver's perspective?
Well, the format's different, so that definitely leads to a little bit different racing, but it's I don't know. It's still a bunch of really tough cars. You just don't have Brad and David, and I mean, it's just it's just different mainly because of the format and the tracks that they run, I suppose.
Do you prefer one or the other, or just kind of just go with the flow and what it is what it is?
I like them both. I kind of like the format. I like the All-Star format. I think that's the most fair format that there was, really, where you qualify in your heat race. And you start fourth if you're quick time, or I think you start outside front row actually if you're fourth. I'm not sure how that goes, but anyway, it's a little bit jumbled up there. But I think it's way more fair that way.
And one thing I've been talking with my dad this week, the All-Stars, they kind of fell off, and I think that led to the purchase of this. You didn't see as many drivers competing every single week. It came down to 2 drivers. It was Zeb and Tyler Courtney that were racing pretty much for every week for every win. I think this will be a good thing. You'll get an influx of so many different drivers and potentially full-time drivers as well. Brad Sweet's going to race full-time, so there's another one added to it. And obviously, they're probably going to work around the NASCAR schedule so Larson can race in them as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think the competition level is going to be fantastic, and I'm sure that the Outlaws will have some sort of rule in place again next year that won't allow them to run very many races with them. But if they can somehow work together where everybody's happy, I mean, I don't know how that would work. I guess there's just too many competing nights there. But for the most part, they could work together, especially on the bigger events like the Crown Jewels. Just make sure they're not conflicting on that kind of stuff. That would be nice for everybody involved.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in real quick, specifically going into the 69K. What was easy for you to kind of jump in that car, and what have been kind of the challenges going into that car as racing with your other cars as well that you've raced?
Well, I mean, obviously that's a really good race car. We came into that car right before Susky, and I ended up crashing that car, but it was very comfortable as well. They put this car together for me quick for Charlotte, and it was stable right off the bat. I mean, we turned decent qualifying laps. Hot laps weren't fantastic, but I mean, those were the first couple laps. Tuned it right in, turned decent qualifying laps. Heat race for Thursday night, kind of started fourth, finished fourth sort of deal. We weren't that bad. And feature Thursday night, you know, we sort of backed up and went forward in features both nights there. So that was, you know, I mean, I don't really 100% know that track kind of changes quite a bit throughout the race. I wasn't really probably following it the best, changing lines at the right time. I mean, it's hard during the complexion of a race, and there wasn't much time to think during any of those races. It was over like real quick. It was just hammer down. Everybody was here, there, and all of a sudden it was over. So we were just didn't get a lot out of the race on Thursday, other than we kind of came back on at the end of the race, and I really couldn't hang on to it that well at the beginning of the race. So, you know, we made some adjustments for the Friday night show. Started outside front row of the heat and ran second, made the dash. All that was good. And dropped pretty hard in the beginning there because the motor didn't really take off. And by the time the motor took off, I was kind of in the middle of a beehive there, and we ended up dropping a few spots, and then I dropped a couple more. And by the time we got going, we ended up 10th, which really wasn't that bad to hold our own in 10th. Honestly,
definitely. I mean, that competition level is so high, and everybody's good in the Outlaws, and it's it's evolved to where everybody is so good. All the crews are really good. So yeah, obviously we're running a top 10. Obviously, from my perspective, because my granddad is Davey Brown, we're all really proud of that. We're really happy that you made the show. Because we know how tough it can be to even just make an outlaw show, let alone make every single night and run competitively at the World Finals. So thank you for obviously stepping in for that. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you put it that way, I mean, I honestly think of it that way too. Like making all three shows, obviously it's never as good as you wanted to do, but it's still very good accomplishment to step up and you know, drop right in the seat and do that. And they make it comfortable, you know. Donnie and Cassidy and John and Leroy and Dale and oh my God, I met so many people this week. Scott, obviously Linda and let's see, who else am I forgetting? Did I say Dale yet? Anyway, all those guys really make it a lot easier to just to sit in the seat. I mean, I don't have to touch that car at all. So, I mean, they're all Johnny on the spot. They all have their own jobs. They jump right in there. They take care of everything. And they kind of know what Donnie's thinking. So, like, they're ready to make changes before he even tells them to make changes. And Cassidy's coming back to the car. And they really, really work well to each other. And they apologized to me a couple times for making changes so late, like right before the car goes out. And I was like, no, man, I love it. You guys are just so on top of it, and they're ready to make changes and willing to make the changes is whatever it takes to get the best outcome, obviously. And I think they have a really good car, and it's always felt stable underneath me. So I can't wait for more races to come.
Yeah, we're excited. Hopefully, they'll be able to work out something, and there'll be a little bit of breaking news we can have in the next coming months to see for next season and everything. What was it like to I don't know how much you actually knew about my grandpa before going to the team. Obviously, he's had an illustrious career. He doesn't like to talk about it that much because that's just who he is. But over 70 years of racing, and what was it like to just take in that knowledge from him? And I guess, what are you looking forward to coming to Susky? I'm sure he's going to be there this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love watching him work. I mean, obviously he's so smart, or things are just so second nature to him, and it's so obvious to him. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Obviously, him and Donnie are both extremely smart. I asked Donnie this weekend because, like, the way he looks at things seemed to come from, more of an engineering sort of background. And I was like, "Where'd you go to school, Donnie?" He's like, "High school," and I was like. Okay, so like everything that you learned on all these cars is just like trial and error, and he's like, "Yep, all trial and error." And I mean, it's just everything that they do is so common sense, but yet effective. And it seems to me like they know when to make the changes based on track times and track conditions, and it almost just goes in a timeline for them, and they know what's coming next. Like Cassidy knows what change Don's going to make. And she comes to him asking if he's ready to make that change yet or not, and he says yes or no. It's not like I mean, she knows exactly what's coming. That whole team just operates like a machine, so it's really nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they've been together for quite a long time, especially Donnie and my grandfather. Long time. They've been together since the '80s, definitely.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's helped out with other teams along the way too. Is there any news that you've gotten, or anything that what your next season's going to hold? Are you, has Donnie said anything to you if you're going to be hopping in the 69K at all next year, or anything about that?
We did talk about that a little bit. I didn't know for sure if I was going to bring anything out right away. I didn't know for sure what the news was going to be there, but we talked about putting together a schedule for next year, and as of right now, they're gonna stick with me for next year. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, obviously, like I said, we appreciate anybody that drives that car. That's the one thing that keeps my grandpa rolling, and he says every year, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to retire." He's been saying that for 30 years now.
I
So,
I can imagine. Like,
yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
he just enjoys it so much, and anybody that hops in the car, you're going to have a big fan base behind you. Obviously, Lance did a lot for the last almost decade in that car, and we obviously appreciate everything he's done. He's come on this show before, and I don't know anything behind the scenes. It's not my business to get behind the scenes stuff. All I know is that I appreciate what he did, and anybody that wants to hop in that car, that's awesome. So we definitely are grateful for that as a family perspective, and obviously seeing my grandpa still wrench the car, it's still awesome to see.
It is. It is awesome. I mean, he comes bebopping into Susky that first week that I was back in it here, and it's like, honestly, those pits in Susky are a little bit treacherous anyway. There's rocks that
Yes.
are, misshapen, crevices through the ground, and I mean, Donnie got straight up taken out by a four-wheeler that first week, just dropped him, and I mean, I thought they killed him. He hit the ground so freaking hard, and to see, your grandpa bebop through the pits and like. It's pretty amazing at that age. It's absolutely amazing. And just to have the energy to be there the whole day at that age is amazing.
The crazy thing is they still make him pay to get into these races. I'm like, y'all realize he's been paying for like 75 years now. Like, you can
That
probably
is,
cut him a little bit of a break, I would
he
think.
should,
But
yeah, he should have a free pass for everywhere. That's true. I didn't think
yeah,
about it that way.
yeah.
Imagine
Well,
how many dollars he's given these racetracks over the years.
well, I'd be surprised if he wasn't there this weekend. I know he's looking forward. He wanted to come down to Charlotte. He wasn't feeling up to it, which is very understandable. It's hard to travel at that age, but I know
Long
he was on
weekend.
the phone with Donnie and trying to figure out what he wanted to do with the car and all of that. So he's still very much involved, even if he's not there.
Yeah, and that is a very long weekend. I mean, it was a long weekend for me, for sure. So I don't blame him one bit for not wanting to be there. And the way that or I shouldn't say not wanting to be there, but not going.
Right.
Starting off cold that way too would have definitely been a drag. So, but we appreciate all of his help from home. Obviously, I didn't see every single time Donnie was calling Davey, but I'm sure there was quite a few times there, and we definitely appreciate his tutelage from home.
Yeah. Well, listen, Justin, again, I appreciate you coming on this, talking to me for a little bit. Um, and I appreciate you hopping in the 69K. We look forward to seeing what you can do here this weekend at Susky and what you can do for next season as well. So we're all looking forward to it. So everybody, I hope you like this. Share it as much as you can. Get this guy's name out because he's going to have a big year next year. I'm seeing it coming right now. So like I said, Justin, I appreciate you coming on, and good luck this weekend and good luck next season.
All right, Zach, I really appreciate you having me on too. And I'll definitely start looking for your podcast and watching it in the future. Unfortunately, I didn't know that it existed till I met you. So it's really cool that that you do that. And I need to go back through the archives and take a look at those.
Yeah, it's a good way to escape from everything. So obviously, it's on YouTube and anywhere you can get a podcast. So obviously, if you're driving, you're more than welcome to pop it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I'm on all that stuff. So obviously, the interviews with my grandpa, Lance, Donnie, everybody that's been involved in this, we appreciate it. We're pretty much done with our first season. We'll have another week to wrap up everything with my dad, and we might have some other people on to finish it off. So yeah, special guests like you definitely helps it going, and just keep spreading the word to everybody that's watching this. So definitely very thankful for it.
Right on, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to thank the Kreitz family and all the people involved, all the guys that work on the car, and all the sponsors involved in that car. And obviously, like, I don't know them all by heart just yet, which is kind of unprofessional on my part. I'm sorry, but everybody involved, we really appreciate the opportunity just to sit in the seat. So.
Well, don't worry. I'll make sure the picture of this episode is going to be the most recent 69K, so that'll cover everybody's bases. So we'll be good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Justin. Well, good luck with everything, and we'll see you in the near future.
All right. Thanks, Zach.